Hey folks, welcome back to another review with yours truly, Sam Healey. Today we're taking a look at Remnants. This is a game from Fireside Games where it is a post-apocalyptic setting. Each player takes the role of a leader of a colony, and you're just trying to build your colony's defenses, fend off would-be invaders, and score the most points by the end of the game. So let's get down to the table. I'll show you how it works, then we'll come back a little bit later with some final thoughts. Let's get to it. The gist of the game is to get the most points, and points are these little ketchup packets because flavor is the most important thing in a post-apocalyptic future, and ketchup is the best we can do. So that's the general idea. You're just trying to get the most points. You're going to get points for a number of different things. These different development cards are going to be giving you points at the end of the game. Each of your survivors that are healthy at the end of the game are going to give you 1 point for regular survivors and 2 points for the special survivors. You're also going to be getting other victory points possibly throughout the course of the game because of the different effects that some of these development cards have. Now, each round is going to take place in about 4 or 5 different phases, and the reason that it's 4 or 5 is because on these gray spaces, there's no fight phase, but on the red phase, there is a fight phase. Now, the first phase is the scavenge phase, but before we do that, we have to do a couple of things. We have to take the survivors that we have and commit them to either scavenging for resources here or looting in the cities on the side of the board. And then once everybody has committed their survivors to what task they're going to do, we then flip over the first Badlands card, which represents difficulties that the different survivors are going to face in the Badlands. So here, a sandstorm has happened. 3 scavengers must either return to the compound or be wounded. All right, well, that's unfortunate. Now, after the Badlands card has been turned over, we will then enter the scavenging phase, which is a real-time dice rolling phase where each person is trying to roll and get 3 dice to show the same face. Once you do that, you can take one of those resources. Each of your survivors can carry 1 resource unless you have this specialist right here, which is able to carry 2. You'll notice that there are also 2 bonus tokens out here, and it's possible that 2 of the 3 players will be able to get that because you can roll for these at any point in time by rolling 3 of the different, by rolling 3 star faces. You can take this. The only problem with that is that you end your scavenging phase by taking that bonus tile. So you might want to wait until all of your guys have the resources they were looking for before you're going with that, but you don't have to. If 2 people try to grab the same resource at the same time and it's the only one that's left, the person who touches it first gets to take it. Once everybody has finished that simultaneous scavenging round, any resources that are left are moved to the center of the board and are buried. They will be excess that can be taken next turn if the ones that are around the outside are taken up and you still want to get one of those resources, you can take from the middle. Then any bonus tokens that were taken will be able to be turned over and revealed. For example, this one right here allows you to take one of the resources that you've had this round and turn it into 2 resources. So maybe this person here is looking for this rifle here, so he wants to double that right there. So he turns that into 2 like that. That is done away with, and this one is just an extra 2 loot in the looting phase, which is about to happen here. Other bonus tokens that are out there, this is just 1 resource of your choice. This one, you roll the die and take whatever resource is there. And this is a wanderer who is going to help you in the scavenging phase next round. So after the scavenging phase happens, the loot phase happens, which is where your looters that were committed to go look around in the cities are going to roll dice. Now, you're going to roll 1 die for each survivor that you sent to that place. So the Sanctuary here sent 2 looters out. So did everybody else. Now, this specialist right here gives you a +1 pip. So if you look on these dice here, they have a face, but they also have pips at the bottom of the face as well. And in the looting phase, the pips are the only thing that matter, not the actual side of the die. When Sanctuary rolled, they rolled a 3 for their loot roll, so they moved their medicine up by 1, and then then they moved their scraps up here by 2. Now it's important because medicine helps you heal your survivors. Screwdrivers here, for every 2 that you used, you can add a pip to either a combat roll or a loot roll. And then finally, scrap down here allows you to use 2 scrap to equal 1 resource of your choice. So of course, all of these are useful in their own specific ways. Your specific strategy may determine which one is more valuable to you. Then the build phase happens, which is where you're going to be purchasing different kinds of developments for your compounds. You can also purchase new survivors or train your current healthy survivors to be upgraded to some of these different specialists. Now, the other things over here, for example, the development cards here, you have at the top, of course, the name of the card, and then you also have the requirement that's necessary to purchase that card, and then at the bottom it has the effect during the game and how many victory points it's going to give you at the end of the game. A defense card is going to lower the hit points of the bad person, whoever they may be. A number of fight symbols is how many dice you can roll to add to the number of defense shields that you have in order to try to defeat this guy. Then you also have some that are going to give you +1 pip to the die roll. You have some that are just going to give you +1 scrap. And then there are some that have special resources like buy a weapon card at 1 less resource cost. So if you have this one in your hand, you'd be able to ignore one of these resource requirements here. After the build phase, we would actually go to the fight phase, but because we're in the first round, there is no fight phase, so we go automatically to the heal phase, where we'll be able to use our health or our medicine here and heal some of our people. So Freetown up here has 1 medicine, so they're going to use that, and we'll be able to flip over 1 of our survivors to make them healthy once again. And then during the cleanup phase, we're going to add new resources and bonus tokens to the board. And then any development cards that have a special ability that can be used by tapping it are refreshed so that they can be used in the next round, and then the next round begins. So we fast forwarded to the fight phase of the second round here so I could show you what fighting looks like and how it works. This is how many health that they have. So this is the number that you must meet or exceed with your defenses and your combat roll to defeat them. Down here, this is a special effect that will govern this specific combat. So they're going to reduce everybody's defenses by 1. And then down here is the, if you defeat them, this is a positive thing that you'll get. If they defeat you, or you don't defeat them rather, you get 2 wounds for your people. So what happens here is that, first of all, Sanctuary's metal fence is going to, has a defense of 3 because it has 2 base defense +1 if the attacking unit is a raider, and it is. So that has a defense of 3, but the gliders reduce that by 1, so it's back down to 2. So this number is reduced to 3 because of the 2 defense that the metal fence gives. So then, Sanctuary is going to be able to use their weapon here, and they have 2 fists, which means they'll be able to roll 2 dice to add to their 2 defense. So basically, we have to get a 3 or higher on this die roll in order to defeat the gliders. So what will happen here is they will roll the dice and look at the pips that are on the dice. So we have 1, 2, 3 pips, which with their defense equals 5, which means that these guys are defeated, and a Sanctuary will be able to get a resource of their choice. Now, let's say that they were not able to defeat it by the die roll simply. They only got 2 here, which means there's 1 left. What Sanctuary could do is use their screwdrivers here, both of them, and add 1 pip to the die roll here, which makes it 3, and they are now able to defeat the gliders. And that is, generally speaking, how you play Remnants, with each round going through here, and you only fight on rounds 2, 4, and 6. The final round of battle is, the first 2 are these 2 lesser dudes. You have the gliders that we fought, and then there's plague wolves. They're pretty nasty. But then the final round is a boss that has a power-up like this. So King Colossal here is going to be attacking you in the final round. All weapons are reduced by 1. You reduce your defenses by 2. And then if you don't defeat him, he's going to cause you 6 wounds. You have to get a 12 though, so he's pretty tough, and he's not actually even the toughest one. So you kind of get the idea. After the final boss has been faced, everybody tabulates points, and whoever has the most points is the winner. Now, as we always say, I didn't show you every little bit of minutia in the rule book, but I think I gave you a basic understanding of how the game plays out and how it rolls on through each of the 6 different rounds. Now, as far as some pros and cons are concerned, the pros of the game are that it is fun to play. It is a simple game to understand how to play, and it's easy to teach. It's not difficult at all. There were a couple of nuances that were a little bit hard to grasp on the first couple of plays, but nothing really worth mentioning. But overall, this was a fun game to play with a couple caveats, and we'll get to the caveats in the cons section of the game. But generally speaking, it's simple, and it's fun to play, and it has a good setting to it as well. Another pro for the game is that, and this is not really usually a pro for me, and that is the real-time dice rolling. First of all, it's only one part of the dice rolling, which is why I think it makes it a little bit more palatable for me. I usually don't like real-time dice rolling where you feel stressed and you're trying to get something before somebody else gets it, and you're just not rolling the right faces, and it has that feeling to it. But because of the theme of the game, the theme fits that, I need to go out and find something before somebody else gets it. That fits that mechanism of real-time dice rolling. The person who rolls the dice the quickest and is the one that's going to probably get the best thing. Making it to where not everybody is going to get a bonus token. That adds another layer of tension to this phase. So I like it. That is actually a pro for me. But a little bit deeper, the pro is that it is only one phase of dice rolling that is timed or simultaneous. The loot phase is just a simple die roll, and so you can kind of relax and chill out and not have to worry about all of the tension that happens in the scavenging phase. The loot phase is very low key, and it provides a good ramping down for the rest of the round. So I like that about that. And then of course the rolls that you will make on the combat rolls are not simultaneous either, and there's no timed difference there. So the reason I think it's more palatable for me in this setting is because it's only one specific round, and then all of the other dice rolling is not that way. So it is a pro for me. I did enjoy it. I think it was a thematic mechanical inclusion, and that's a good thing. Another pro for the game is that you do have variable starting setups. Now, they're only slightly so because it's only the number of, or the kinds of survivors that you have. You can start with 6 regular survivors, or you can start with 4 survivors and a specialist, and basically those are the only differences. And of course, each of the different ones will start with a specialist will start with a different one. So you do have slightly a different setup than the rest of the people, but that is a pro for me. Another pro that kind of leads into this thing here, and it's really kind of the same pro, is the fact that over the course of the game, your colony or your compound will be different than the other players because of the different development cards that you've purchased, because of the different specialists that you've trained, how many different new survivors have you welcomed into your compound, and so forth and so on. So there is a lot of differentiation between the different players, and I think I'm going to mash all that up into one pro, the variable setup and how different you are at the end of the game based upon what you've purchased and what you've chosen to put your resources towards during the course of the game. And I like it when games do that in a very noticeable way. Some games are a little bit more subtle. This one is pretty much in your face because how strong or how weak your compound is largely dependent upon the different development cards that you've purchased throughout the course of the game. And I like it when games do that, and this one does it very well. Now, a couple of cons for the game. First of all, everybody that I played this game with said that they thought the game would be more fun without the Badlands deck. Now, the Badlands deck has 9 cards in it. 5 of them are not bad cards, a few of those 5 being good, and then 4 of them are bad cards, ones that kind of smack you in the face right before you go out and head out to the scavengers, like wounding 4 of your scavengers or wounding 3 of your scavengers or sending 3 of your scavengers back to the compound, or if you choose not to do that, you have to wound them. And when you've only sent 4, sometimes 3 scavengers out there, that really kind of hurts, especially when one of them was a specialist and they can no longer use their special ability now. So I understand that the Badlands event deck is thematic because you're going to go out into the Badlands, you're going to face all of these different trials, and that's thematic. I get that, but it saps a little bit of the fun out of the game because it really kind of deflates your balloon, so to speak, right before you go into gathering those resources. So we all kind of thought that the Badlands deck was a heavy-handed inclusion, thematically speaking. It's thematic, yes, but boy, it really sucked some fun out of the gameplay. Another thing, and this is really what I have to mention here because I have hammered some other games because of this, and that is the components. The components are not bad, but at the same time, they could have been a lot better. The resources were just black tokens with a color of the resource on them. And while that is functional, and while that is it works, and there's no confusion what resources which, and so forth and so on, it's just not that. I mean, it just doesn't look that great. It doesn't have that eye-catching ability that some kind of other component quality upgrade may have brought to the game, and that might hurt the game a little bit because it's a post-apocalyptic game. And the artwork's good, don't get me wrong, and it looks okay on the board, but really, I mean, on the table, but really it doesn't look that good. It is forgettable as you're just looking at it on the table, and that's unfortunate because I think this is a good game that the components just don't really match very well. Overall, I'm going to say that I'm going to give this one a 6 out of 10 because I do think it's better than average, which for me a 5 is average. So it's better than average. I think if it had better components, it would ease on up into the 7 range, 6.5 or 7, and then maybe minus the inclusion of that Badlands deck, you're maybe at a 7.5. So all of those things that could have been changed, at least from my point of view and in my opinion, which is what this review is, it suffers from those things, and it's just going to be a 6 out of 10. It's a decent game. I think it's above average, but some of the things that could have done a little bit better have heard it. And so 6 out of 10 for me for Remnants from Fireside Games. Thanks so much for joining us today. We certainly appreciate it. We'll see you guys and gals on the flip side. Take care now.